everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking to Kerry Robinson. Kerry, it's great to connect with you. Looking forward to talking with you. Your company, you're the Vice President of Conversational AI, waterfieldtech.com. And I'm looking forward to talking about AI. I love AI. I use it pretty much every day. ChatGPT, Claude.ai, they're great tools for myself and my business. That's just a very small piece of AI. Your company, Waterfield, you're basically, improving customer experiences using AI. So let's start talking about kind of, for the layman person, kindergarten level. Let's talk about AI and how to use it to help just kind of like, help your thinking process. Let's just start there. That's how I use it a lot, to help me almost like kind of strategize and think about things. So let's just talk about AI in that way. How can people just use it? They open up ChatGPT. Maybe some people are using it for the first handful of times. What's the best way to start to kind of get to know the product?
Yeah, great question. And I think the key thing is that we do now have a form of intelligence. I mean, I've been in AI for like 25 years, and for the first 23 of those years, we didn't really have much intelligence in AI. It was all rules and scripts and a bit of speech recognition and robotic voices and things like that. But now, it's been quite a surprise to the researchers and the technologists in the field. The last couple of years, we've really turned a corner, and we've got AI that has elements of real intelligence. It can reason over the inputs you give it. It understands multiple different languages. It's got really good grounding in basically every subject that's talked about on the internet. So everything from psychology to different languages to business and marketing and literature. And this is all now at our fingertips. But the key thing is, I think, to start with, people kind of saw it as a bit like a sophisticated search engine, and it can help there. But actually, I think it's much more useful, and a better way to think about it is exactly as you talked about it, like an intellectual sparring partner. And so I think one of the key things is have a dialogue. It's not just ask it a question and get an answer and then great. You can ask Google that. But I think ChatGPT and the other Gen AI solutions like Claude you mentioned, they really benefit from interaction. Don't believe everything it says. Challenge it, bring in new ideas, and yeah, just use it as a sparring partner to throw around ideas.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. So I know someone who was recently at a conference, and they were talking about that Albert Einstein's IQ estimated to be around 160, no documentation of that, and that Elon Musk, not verified, but about maybe 155. And that right now, as we sit here, September 18th, 2024, the AI platforms have about an IQ of 155. From what I understand, the highest on record is 228. And that next year, they're looking at that AI will have an IQ of 600, and the year after that, 1200, which is higher than, if that is true and maps out to be true, that's higher than any human being could possibly be. And so how will it start to change, the human AI interaction, and how will it start to change just how we as humans move and work?
I hadn't heard those predictions around IQ, and IQ tests have basically been scientifically refuted as not really very illuminating, because they only kind of test certain angles of what knowledge work is and what intelligence work it is. But you raise a really important point. The point is the AI we have today. I mean, forget about the AI in the future. The AI we have today is extremely capable. the latest models that OpenAI released, the O1 models, in the model card, it's quite a lot of detail, but if you go through it, they analyze how it performs in terms of things like persuasion, because they want to be careful they don't create super persuasive AI, otherwise it could be quite dangerous. And the state of the art AI models are better at persuasion than 70 to 80% of humans. So like they're already super persuasive.
Yeah.
Look at the like coding tasks, not just like, can you spot the bug in this, but build this, build that, build some other thing. And there were 10 quite difficult coding tasks that together would enable the bot to create a Gen AI solution in the cloud that you could access using a Bitcoin wallet. And it couldn't, if you just gave it that task, it couldn't do all of it. But if you broke it down and gave it the 10 individual tasks, 9 out of 10 of them it completely nailed. Not every time, not first time, but after several tries.
Yeah.
I think this just shows like, look, we've got real intelligence, and really the question becomes, how do we harness it?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's really interesting for your audience and businesses more generally. Is like, this is different. We've got to think very carefully about how do we get the most out of it. And that's why I think if you step back and look at, what our businesses, what our organizations, they're a bunch of human intelligences aligned around a particular goal, vision, and with certain beliefs. And then around that, we have all sorts of structures. We give people roles, and we give them tools that they can use, and we measure them, and if they don't hit the metrics we want, we give them feedback. And that's exactly how to get the best out of AI. Like, really behind the scenes in ChatGPT, you've got an AI model that's got a set of instructions on how it should interact with you. It's got some tools. It can go access the internet. It can run little snippets of code. It can create little charts, and then you're interacting with it, and it's doing its job. Even if the AI models don't get better than they are, and they will, there's already so much we can do with them if we somehow make these artificial intelligences able to help us in our business day. One of the challenges is that our systems, our businesses, the way we think about getting stuff done, wasn't designed for silicon intelligence. It was designed for human intelligence. And so we've got these amazingly powerful models, even if it's got an IQ of 600. If it hasn't got access to the right back-end systems in your organization, if it hasn't got clarity on your objectives, if you haven't given it detailed instructions on how to get things done in your business, those standard operating procedures that you've used to kind of improve and standardize tasks.
Yeah.
If you can't extract these things and give it to a model, and then give that model access to your data and your systems, then there's no use having Einstein if you keep him in a closet, never open the door, and don't let him ever speak to anyone.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest challenges now. Like, we've got plenty of AI. It's how do we integrate it into businesses? How do we think of it almost as part of the workforce? So my coach got me thinking who, not how.
Yeah.
And I love that. But who now needs to include silicon intelligence as well as biological intelligence.
Right. Well, and that brings up the idea of like, okay, so you bring up one angle, but the other piece now is, as human beings, there's something called like they're coming out. There's EQ and IQ. They're coming up now. The talk is AQ, right? Adaptability IQ. Adaptability quotient, and so we're going to be having to adapt to, as this technology evolves, we as humans need to adapt. And so how do you see that evolving?
Great question. I mean, I think it's been so. I mean, I've been into AI and consciousness and free will since I was a kid, and it's such fun to get to play with real silicon intelligence every day and really reflect on what does that mean for us as humans. I think what it means for us as humans is we're going to have to get used to not being the smartest in the room. Like silicon intelligences are and will outpace humans on many and probably ultimately all tasks that we undertake. But it's just the intelligence bit. It's not the motivations. Like, okay, we've got all this intelligence. What are we going to do with it? I've got a company at Waterfield of 600 people. What are we going to get them focused on? What's important? How are we going to measure success? That's what gets the most out of intelligence. And as far as we know, these models don't yet have consciousness or free will, we probably wouldn't want to trust them to decide what the future of humanity should be, let alone, the future of a business or us as individuals. So we've got intelligence on tap, but we've got to point it in the right direction, give it the right tools, give it the right role and responsibility, and have all of the kind of the spot checks that we have in businesses to make sure humans don't go rogue. We just need to apply the same things to AI too.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so talk about your company and how you use AI to create a better customer experience.
So we focus on contact centers and customer service, and I think it's interesting because it's not been a very fashionable industry. Customer service is often seen by businesses as an expensive necessity rather than the crown jewels. And there's been many attempts over the last decade or two to put a value on customer experience, but it's tough. And I think but I think that's now changed. I think actually contact center and customer service is one of the most interesting places to be right now because it's perfectly set up to leverage AI. Reason being is that contact centers have got good at hiring inexperienced individuals, people, part-time workers, people straight out of university, and give them a couple of weeks training, and then get on the phones, having quite high stakes interactions with customers. And so the customer service contact centers have cracked the code of how do you onboard junior intelligences, make them useful, but also make sure they don't get off track. And so what we're finding, which is really interesting, is we can use that same culture, that same mindset, that same approach to onboard silicon intelligences. So pick a use case, pick a contact type, whether it's email or chat or voice, and focus on how can I give an AI model access to the right data, the right back-end tools and services, and give it the right instructions so that it can do as good a job as a junior agent. And the reality is, 3 years ago, no chance. But today, you can absolutely do that. But it is a mindset shift. You're not just deploying a piece of tech. You've got to think about it as onboarding an AI workforce, and they need leading and managing just like humans do. So I think it's a great opportunity for business leaders, kind of human-first leaders, to actually come into the limelight and really show the world how to make the most of AI, because they've been doing it with human intelligence for a long time, and now it's an opportunity to do it with this abundant, scalable intelligence we have.
How long until you think, we're talking to somebody that sounds so human that it is AI? We just really, it's so ahead of real time and sounds so real that we won't be able to tell the difference.
Months. So the OpenAI GPT-4o models include or have the capability to do streaming voice-to-voice interaction. So it's constantly listening to you, and it's constantly creating audio responses. And the demos we've seen from OpenAI demonstrate that the time between the human finishing speaking and the AI responding is less than 300 milliseconds, which is about where humans max out in terms of the speed of a dialogue. So the speed of dialogue, those APIs haven't been released yet, but we're expecting them over the next few months. Some people have access through the ChatGPT app, and it can definitely operate that quickly. The voices are extremely lifelike. So it's here. It's here pretty much now. And the question is how do you put that power to work and do it responsibly? And that's where things like the EU AI Act and the new convention framework that the US, the UK, and Europe have signed are going to be important, where you have to really be transparent about the use of AI, because it's not going to be obvious from the voice and the interaction that you're interacting with AI. So you have to be transparent about that, and then also transparent about the decision making. Like so why has it responded that way? And also audit it. Like, did it do the right thing? But back to that contact center analogy, that's exactly what we do all the time to ensure that young or inexperienced or part-time workers doing high-stakes jobs in contact centers do it effectively, efficiently, and without breaking the rules.
Yeah, I would imagine we're going to continually see a lot more oversights and more laws and restrictions and things of that nature. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about it is that I've like I said, I've been in this industry for 25 years, and for 10 or 15 of those, it was creating those really annoying systems when you call up and you have to press buttons and you get options you don't understand, and you know we were able to create really great versions of those systems. It was just so expensive that,
Yeah.
that only the very largest organisations could afford to do that. But now anyone can. It's really democratised access to that kind of solution. But all those systems that went before likely fall within the definitions in these new regulations of high-risk systems,
Yeah.
because they're talking to customers, sometimes about financial transactions and things like that. From my analysis so far, most of the systems of the past are not going to be compliant with the EU AI Act and the Convention framework going forward. So everyone's going to have to go look at those horrible systems they deployed 10 years ago and left. And my advice is, rather than trying to go fix those systems that were based on AI that didn't have much intelligence in it, really look at how can you leverage the latest models to have access to real AI and build that in a responsible way.
It's going to be amazing. Well, it's fun to. I remember, when it first came out, a buddy of mine called and said, "Hey, check out this thing, ChatGPT," and now it's how we're all exposed to AI is pretty incredible. I can't wait to see where it continually moves to. Let's do a quick speed round, Kerry. A book that's had a big impact on you.
The Art of Possibility. Listen to an audiobook. It's a English and an American. The American is or was the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra. The lady is a psychologist, clinical psychologist, and together they figured out and cracked the code of how to get the most out of human beings. I read it or listened to it about 15 years ago, again a year ago, and realised that so many of the things I do and the way I operate have been influenced by that book. So listen to the audiobook.
I'm going to check it out. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Theodore Roosevelt, in the moment of decision, the best decision is the right decision. The second best decision is the wrong decision. And the worst decision is no decision at all.
Yeah, that's a good one. Finish the sentence. One thing everybody can do to incorporate AI into their business a little bit more is?
Make sure everyone in your team has access to ChatGPT Plus, and encourage them to put it into voice mode and just chat about something they're interested in.
Yeah, I love it. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you, Kerry.
Our ideal clients are business to consumer brands who handle more than 1 million contacts a year, that want to grow without growing the cost of their contact center, who want to deliver better experiences without increasing the cost of their contact center, who ultimately want to become AI first and really leverage this amazing, abundant source of intelligence that we now have available.
Great. Great. Well, I appreciate your time, Kerry. This is great. I love talking about AI. I think what you're doing is, I can't wait to see what you're doing and what that turns into 2 years from now and 3 years from now, and where AI is taking us. I think community, it's really, really important that, if you're not familiar with AI, spend 1 to 5 minutes a day on ChatGPT or Claude.ai or something that is going to, or YouTube, something that's going to continually educate you on what it is, how it impacts your business, and all the various ways you can use. We didn't even really touch on so many of them. But Kerry, I appreciate it. If anybody here wants to reach out to Kerry, you can reach out to him at waterfieldtech.com. Is that the right site?
That's us, yeah.
It's great. If you want to see how AI can enhance your customer experience, and if you want to talk about coaching, you can reach me at jondwoskin.com. Kerry, this was great. Thank you so much for your thoughts, and we'll have to have you back and talk more about AI in the future. Thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, John.